Welcome to Connecting the Community podcast. I am your host, Marge Andre. I will be connecting you to people, organizations, and events that create community. I am creating this podcast in Richmond Hill, an eclectic and very culturally diverse community with lots of trees and streams and interesting people, just up the hill from Toronto. On this podcast, I will be talking with Dan DiRuscio, Manager of Cultural Services for the City of Richmond Hill. Welcome, Dan.
Hi, Marge.
Dan, I'm so glad that you could join me this morning. We've got a great conversation that we need to have about Richmond Hill's 150th celebration. But let's first say, Dan, I've known you for many years. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and the work you do at the City of Richmond Hill?
I sure can. Thanks, Marge, for inviting me to speak with you today. It's always a pleasure to connect. You're correct. I've worked for the city for over 13 years now, and in my current role, I've had the privilege of working with so many dedicated individuals striving to make our community a better place to live, work, and play. As the Manager of Cultural Services, I am part of the Recreation and Culture Division of the Community Services Department. Marge, I oversee 5 portfolios, including marketing and promotions, which helps spread the word about the various programs, services, and events our division delivers for our citizens. I have a team who plan and execute various city-led festivals and events, but also assist in facilitating applications for community organizers who wish to obtain permits through the city to offer their own events as well. My arts and culture portfolio staff assists in delivering our cultural plan, which, as you know, Marge, was actually renewed and approved by our council late last year. Heritage Services is the 4th portfolio I oversee, which includes staff who curate and archive various artifacts from the city, but also deliver programming for those interested in learning more about our rich history. Last, I'm grateful to be part of the Richmond Hill Center for the Performing Arts, where, as you know, Marge, we offer various present shows in addition to renting that facility mainly for those in the performing arts sector.
Wow, you are responsible for making this a vibrant, enriching, great place to live. So, Dan, the pressure is on you. And this is a special year for Richmond Hill. Our city celebrates 150 years. I did look it up. January 1st, 1873 was the official date of the incorporation of the village of Richmond Hill. That date was not when people started living here. We do need to acknowledge that many Indigenous peoples been here for a long time. But in 1873, Richmond Hill became a separate entity from Markham and Vaughan. So, recognizing, Dan, that you are not a historian, how would you imagine what your life would be like if you were living in Richmond Hill in 1873?
Great question. Honestly, the first thing that comes to mind, Marge, is no technology. In fact, when I grew up, I remember a more simplified lifestyle where social interaction was never really about how many likes or content you could share in a day online, but how long it took to ride my bike to a friend's house to play street hockey in their driveway. Mm-hmm. Marge, my cultural roots are of the Italian descent. Although I was born here in Canada, growing up, I was immersed in learning about the traditions handed down by my parents, grandparents, and those before them. So to answer your question, if I were living in Richmond Hill in 1873, I would most likely be working on my vegetable garden, growing grapes for homemade wine. And if I was anything like I am today, I'd be finding ways to interact with my community by planning social events for family and friends.
Whoa, okay. Sounds like you have to be having a good time. So it wasn't all bad, though. On this cold day, we're doing this podcast in one of the coldest days of the year. I'm hoping we both could figure out how to stay warm back in 1873. So,
sure.
We're going to focus our conversation on what is happening to celebrate the 150th celebration. We call this a sesquicentennial. This is a word I learned from celebrating Canada's 150th 6 years ago. And many of us have had a slip of the tongue and said Canada 150 when we actually meant Richmond Hill 150. I've noticed that there are signs posted particularly on the Welcome to Richmond Hill, population 202,000. How many of these signs are there around town? You know?
Yeah, you might be surprised to hear this. We have 15 gateway signs across the city, each of which, as you mentioned, were recently decaled to commemorate our anniversary year.
Okay. So 15 and Gateway. Okay, that's what those signs are called. Very good. Okay. There is another sign, I believe, that is now at the municipal offices at East Beaver Creek, and it can be moved around. I refer to this as a selfie sign. I've seen it in many Facebook postings, and I've actually had people ask me just the other day, where is it? I want to go and get my picture taken with it. So, can you tell us about our selfie sign?
Yes, I can indeed. I certainly am excited for the community photo booth, is how we call it.
Okay.
It's going to be seen across the city for at various locations for the anniversary year, and it'll move month to month. I won't disclose where exactly it's going to be. That'll be up
Whoa.
to our residents to find and take photos and post on their social media.
Okay. I'm going to figure out where it is, and I will try to break the news to everyone. So, very good.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay. Uh, we also have a flag. I've seen those on many places, the fire halls, the police station, and such. So, tell us about that flag.
Yeah, so we commissioned a and designed a commemorative flag that is flying at our municipal buildings, our various recreation facilities, and fire halls as well, and libraries included. You'll see that replacing our municipal flag for the anniversary celebration.
Right. Okay. There's a nice gold colored 150th that looks quite regal. So, yeah, it's a nice sign. Nice flag. Sorry. So how is the city celebrated?
Great question, loaded question. So if you bear with me, I'm going to sort of walk us through at a high level what we're doing.
Okay.
Before I do that, I want to just say you're bang on, Marge. There's other than the community photo booth and our flag, our fleet vehicles, our recreation facilities and ice pads. They've all been decaled with our RH150 identifier. And if you frequent our village core, which I know you do, Marge, you'll also notice beautiful light pole banners along Yonge Street. This year's jam-packed with activities and projects for everyone to get involved in. These initiatives are being led by an internal staff committee, but also we've partnered with several local organizations, including the Richmond Hill Historical Society, the Village of Richmond Hill BIA, Royal Canadian Legion Branch 375, the Richmond Hill Board of Trade, and several other local artists and artisans are also involved. We're very happy to welcome others from our community who might have an interest in participating in our planning committees as well. We built Richmond Hill 150 for our residents, Marge. This year will feature an assortment of projects that create the opportunity to bring the community together to celebrate Richmond Hill's anniversary through a variety of unique and interactive and inclusive activities for all ages and cultures. These activities include 3 community-based art projects, a heritage summit, a community photo booth, which we spoke about briefly today, tree plantings and themed horticultural displays, community contests and giveaways, time capsule activity kits. We have historical artifact displays and a legacy video being commissioned as well, and so much more. For those listening, I encourage you to stay informed by visiting our website.
Okay, very good. So we've got a great year. Sort of feels good coming out of COVID to have some extra sort of boost to our activities. So that is great. And I am in touch with a lot of community groups, and I know other ones. The Richmond Hill Philharmonic Orchestra is having a special concert. Chorus York is having a special concert. So, and I am part of the Historical Society and really looking forward to their event there in September. So we have lots to look forward to. Okay. Merchandise. I have seen photo ops with our elected officials having some great looking toques. I've seen the flags. Can the regular resident get these commemorative things as well?
Yes, absolutely. We're selling RH150 merch on our website. You mentioned our toque. It's lovely. We have a commemorative mug. We have book bags and picnic mats. If you have never seen or want to buy any of the early days or later days in Richmond Hill books, you can do that as well through the website. And there's a few other goodies there as well. So really excited about our online shop, actually. It's
Okay. I did
it,
not know about that, so I am anxious to go see about that. Those two books, Early Days and Later Days, I think every Richmond Hill resident should have one. I've often refer to them. It's again a good reminder of where we've been. So yeah, thank you for that. So good. So are there goals for this celebration? Are we really trying to increase civic pride? Are we wanting the new residents? Like, we look at the population growth of Richmond Hill, even for me living here about 40 years, and it's like it's been exponential. So obviously, many of the people that are here are new. And I know many of them have come from faraway places that are not do not have a family history with our pioneer days. So really, what are the goals of this celebration?
Well, Marge, this is a year to join together to celebrate all that makes us proud to call our community home, our vibrant community home. It unites people, culture, nature, and heritage. And in that spirit of connection, it inspires and excites us for what's next on the horizon. We want everyone to participate, whether you've been here for several years or you're a newcomer to our city. We want you to get involved, attend our events, attend our programs and these special initiatives, whatever makes you comfortable, and celebrate. We want you to celebrate with us through the year.
Very good. No, like to hear that. So you have mentioned a website, or actually, it's a subsection of the town's website dedicated to this 150th sesquicentennial celebration. So I'm certainly going to put that in the podcast notes. And I encourage people to read up on the history of Richmond Hill. I think we live in a really interesting place, and would do us all well to understand, know a few more facts about what came about before that. So anything else that you would like to add, Dan?
Well, thank you, Marge. I do want to acknowledge, if I have the opportunity, the federal government as well, who through their Building Communities through Arts and Heritage program have funded RH150 to help the city celebrate this major milestone. We're grateful for that support. They are so good to us and are part of really everything we offer and deliver here in the city. So we thank the government for that.
Very good. Yeah, good. I think they should be recognizing us and helping us celebrate, but I'm glad that they have done that. Okay. I do like to end the podcast with this question. Name one thing you really like about our community.
I'd say diversity, Marge, but more specifically, what I mean by that is the respect we exhibit as a community for one another's cultural upbringing, our ethnic backgrounds, gender, race, and/or identity. It's truly heartwarming for me, having lived here most of my life, and more so today while raising my family here in Richmond Hill.
Very good. Good answer, and I certainly would concur with you. Well, thank you, Dan, for taking the time to do this. You're a very busy person, so I'll let you get back to it, but I do hope to see you around town soon.
Same here, Marge. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for listening. I would very much appreciate you sharing this podcast. Please tune in next week as we continue to explore the community. Consider emailing me at Marge, M-A-R-J, at margeandre.com. I welcome suggestions for podcast guests. Stay well, stay connected.